let's get into our featured program tonight. Tom Thumb and the Fingers, Part 2.
Yeah, buddy.
Just a quick highlight. Gip Hodges and Stan Addison started the group off as assigned locker room mates at the North Salem High School in 1963.
Late 63. And that's when the Beatles first made their invasion. And the entire band, they started playing together, and maybe we'd get a rock and roll band together.
Right.
And they did. They added more than two more guys. And for a time, it was Tom Thumb and the Five Fingers. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And then they had to, somebody came up with a brilliant idea. Let's just call it Tom Thumb and the Fingers because, man, A, who's Tom Thumb? And then B, how many fingers do we have?
Yeah, they had quite a number of them, but...
and their first name was the Fugitives.
Yeah.
And a couple, 2-3 people already had that name.
Sure.
And so anyway, they added their buddy Bill Shuck. They added Rich Gaddy and some others and did wonderful music, Don.
We're following up tonight with what happened with them after 1967. Well, after 67, the only band member, Gip Hodges, to follow up playing more music professionally after leaving the U.S. Navy in the early 70s. Gip played drums in Los Angeles with a couple of different bands and played at the Long Beach Seafair with Eric Clapton and others. A group from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, liked his drumming and offered him a job. So he went on the road with Clancy and Company from about a year, traveling up and down the West Coast. He went on the road with another British Columbia band called Magic. During this time, the band played an extended engagement at Spokane Expo 74 World's Fair. In the late 70s, he played in the Philippines, Hong Kong, and the Orient on a USO tour and had a chance to revisit some of the places that he'd seen in the Navy. And I know some of those places myself.
Yeah, you were in there as well.
Absolutely. Philippines, Hong Kong, and so on. But this time, he had long hair and was wearing R&R clothes instead of a uniform. Gip played drums full-time for all the 70s and into the 80s even. He was in 14 or 15 pretty good bands and did a few record demos and TV appearances too. Gip decided to settle down, start a family, and go back to school. He only played some local gigs in Spokane and got a degree from Eastern Washington University in Cheney, Washington. Gip eventually moved to Portland area in the 90s and played part-time with some local bands like Mr. Moon and JT and The Tourists. He started a computer printer repair business called Laser 2J and has since retired and lives with his wife in Clackamas, Oregon.
Good for you, Gip. And Stan Addison, a fellow who called us after last Friday night's show and was able to send us some recordings that they did in a garage or, in a basement that, he thought we ought to like. Hey, dude, we do. And then sent us, some more information, this sort of thing. Stan Addison, one of the first two members of, the Fugitives. It would later become Tom Thumb and the Fingers. He joined the National Guard, attended Oregon College of Education. You know that now as Western Oregon University. he got a Master of Arts degree in education, so he taught high school in Heppner, Oregon, from 1971 to 1973. Hey, while I was in college. And then attended, so he's a little older than I, but, I can relate to what he was doing in 71,
Right,
73, man. And
I get it.
And attended University of Colorado Medical Center in Denver, got an MS in medical radiation science, and that was prophetic because imaging, X-ray technology, shoot. The other things they came up with, CAT
Right.
scans, MRIs, ultrasounds, you name it. Medical imaging have become huge.
Pretty high tech, and
And-
I know a couple people today in that particular field.
Indeed, and it was kind of genius to choose that. You worked for 10 years doing medical radiation consultation, X-ray equipment, consistency verification. They all have to be certified.
Oh, of course.
At St. Mary's Hospital in Grand Junction, Colorado. Good gig. Stan and the family moved to Seattle, and that was 1984, and he became the radiation safety officer for the University of Washington, and that was up in the late 1980s. Retired finally in 2013. He and his wife still live in the Seattle area, and his hobbies include mineral specimen collection.
Interesting.
Is that a rock hound?
I guess so. I
okay.
would think.
Oil and acrylic painting,
Uh-huh.
cooking, carpentry, and traveling. He still plays keyboards, but never got back into a band. My guess is, could if he wanted to.
Probably could, but probably doesn't have the desire. All right, Bill Shrunk, guitarist, joined the U.S. Army Reserves, then attended the Oregon State University, earned an MBA in the early 70s. He worked at Watchang right here in Albany in the Human Resources Department. Bill started his own consulting organization in Salem for about 6 years, then became a partner in the environmental consulting firm in Seattle for about 10 years. He eventually sold the business. He and his wife moved to South Carolina, where they did property investment and later started a real estate brokerage service. Boy, what a way to go, huh? Bill and his wife retired in 2014 and spent several years traveling across the United States in their motorhome. They moved to Arizona in 2020. Bill enjoys golf and pickleball, as well as continuing to travel. He still has an original Ampeg guitar that he used in Tom Thumb and the Fingers, but plays in frequency now.
Wow. You remember the story from last Friday night about
Yeah.
Rich Gaddy and, he was playing his mom's Les Paul guitar. I mean, there's a legendary guitar for you with a tiny little tube amp that his mom played, and they really needed a bass guitar, so they convinced Rich to join the band and buy a bass guitar and buy a more powerful amp.
Yeah.
And so he did, and we played for you last weekend some really great, exuberant rock and roll from the mid-'60s from these guys. And we're going to play you 3 tunes tonight as well. But Rich went on, after the group broke up, to attend Oregon College of Education, entered Willamette University College of Law in Salem. Rich and his older brother both became Salem attorneys. Early in 1972, co-wrote a book called The Teacher and the Law, and they traveled around the country giving lectures based on that book. Gaddy personal injury and general law practice grew and eventually expanded to Portland, several other offices outside of Salem. And you know something, Don? I didn't know it until I read that information on where some of the group members, Rich Gaddy in this case, went after 67. But I vaguely remember some advertisements for the Gaddy law firm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no kidding.
Cool.
But anyway, they had Portland, several offices outside of Salem, and Rich retired from practice. He and his wife recently moved to Nevada. They still enjoy traveling the world, attending entertainment in the Las Vegas area. If you like attending entertainment, there aren't too many places better than Las Vegas, Nevada.
Sin City, USA.
And Rich, this is Rich Caddy, also enjoys playing in blackjack and or poker tournaments in Las Vegas. Mother, of course, was also a guitar player, music writer, and Rich inherited her talents, of course, but also her vintage Les Paul
guitar.
Gibson guitar, folks.
Wow. All right, we got some great music coming up for you, and Mr. Steve's got it for you right now.
Indeed. We're going to hear 3 songs. And again, these are folks who, I don't know, whatever, they're in their 60s or 70s, I'm not sure which, but they all ended up wonderful, as you just heard. But in the mid-60s, they were high school kids and exuberant. And they loved the Wailers, the fabulous Wailers out of Seattle, Tacoma. They loved the Beatles. They were infused with the rhythm of rock and roll. Its resurgence in the United States, led by the British invasion, and so many American groups, and they were one of them. And again, had they gotten the red gumball or the blue gumball and gone nationwide, who knows? And but boy, they turned out just fine.
I'm going to take 1 second here of your time, and I'm going to say once again, thank you, Stan, for the extra music and the phone call last weekend to us, and plus an hour of your time of chatting with us and stuff and the information.
That's why we do this, Don.
That's right. We're here. We're here to remember rock and roll in its best, and we rank you guys right there with it. So take it away, Mr. Steve.
And how do you do it better than the information that Stan got us tonight on where these folks ended up? They ended up just fine families, and businesses and degrees, and
that's exactly
still get together, and
that's exactly what we wanted.
What
direction you went after 67? You had 4 years of good
and a great success
tuned together and stuff with the music and
story.
Good music, great music, and we loved it. And it's staying in our archives.
You got some more coming up tonight, kids.
There you go.
We're going to hear "Little Green Thing," The Wailer, and "Dirty Robber." Now these are songs at the time they recorded in maybe Gip's garage or Stan's basement or vice versa. I forget which. And again, they were high school kids. Now they're not. They've had wonderful lives. We're so happy for that. But anyway, we're going to talk about "Little Green Thing," written by Dave Lewis, a Northwest organ player, who also wrote Dave's Mood. A lot of the groups down were organ-based at that time. And again, Tom Thumb and the Fingers, when they first started out, they were wondering whether an organ could compete, right? With the other instruments, and indeed it could. So anyway, Dave's Mood, a popular 60 organ-based tune covered by the Kingsmen. "Little Green Thing" was a little slower paced, and all of this stuff was recorded in Gip's garage or Stanley Addison's basement. We're going to hear The Wailers, again, a classic Wailers song, and we're going to hear "Dirty Robber," another classic Wailers song, written by Kent Morrill from the Tacoma Wailers, covered by many bands, including the Sonics and the Kingsmen, and of course Tom Thumb and the Fingers covered it too. So, ladies and gentlemen, "Little Green Thing," The Wailer, "Dirty Robber." Thank you for listening. 92.7, 92.1.
listening to $1 Million Weekend.
92.7.
Life is life.
92.7.
You never know what you're going to get.
92.7.
The music you won't hear anywhere else.
Thank you.
that some Tom Thumb and the Fingers with Little Green Thing, The Wailer, and Dirty Rob.
Yeah,
That's
what a-
great stuff, Don.
What a great band from the early 60s through 67 or so. And tell you what, I enjoyed all the music and stuff from both weekends. And we normally, and this is only the second group we've ever done a two-part series for. Thank you, Mr. Chuck, for helping us out with that. He's I consider him our producer, and so on. Stan, really appreciated the phone call last weekend and talking about all the great stuff and so on. And Mr. Steve, any last comments before we get out of here?
No, just, I said it before, that's what we do this for. Oh, what a great group of guys, and they turned out great. Thank you, folks. And, wonderful music. Looking forward to a few more Friday night shows. You want to tune in every Friday night, 927-921 right here. And then if you want to go, sometime Saturday or Sunday or whenever you want, go to YouTube and look at the wonderful videos Chuck puts together of these shows we do on Friday night. And all you got to do is type in Sweet Home Tunes and then feature.
Yeah, absolutely. So check them out, and we've had a lot of great features and stuff, and we'll be back next Friday night. So 92.7, 92.1, and we're going to get right back to some more great music for you.